And it's a great reminder for me for all time to always tell myself, just keep doing the thing. Don't let some one person, even when one person says the exact thing that you're afraid to see, which is, well, now that I got this, I'm certainly never hiring you again. It was literally like verbatim, like the actor's nightmare. And then that was the next gig. That's when I go, it's all silly. Just keep going. Enjoy yourself. Let the dumb people be dumb. You keep doing the good around you, and it's all going to just be fine. Like, that's how I live my life.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy and life with yours truly, Michael Kahan. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Today's guest is kind, empathetic, hilarious, with a warm and beautiful soul. David has this beautiful, playful, and childlike energy about him. He has a great take on fun, gratitude, and purpose. It's mesmerizing. I could have chatted with David for ages. Time flew by. You can see why he's an improv wizard and champion. Plus, he's deeply reflective, inspiring, and doesn't take himself too seriously. All the tools for a brilliant chat. He's currently performing a 3-year, sold-out run of his improvised comedy show, Making Love with David Magidoff. If you're in Edinburgh for the comedy festival, check it out before it sells out. I believe the dates are the 7th of August to the 23rd of August at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. He also does the show in America. If you'd like to buy tickets, check it out in the episode notes below. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. David Magidoff is known not only for his successful Airbnb, but also for his engaging personality and humor in the entertainment industry. He's a comedian and actor. You might have seen him as Sheriff Teddy Reed in Dexter, Resurrection, and Dexter, New Blood. Recent credits include High Potential and a reoccurring role as Nicky Brooks on Apple TV's Emmy-winning series, The Morning Show. Some of his other credits include Veronica Mars, ER, NCIS, and Lethal Weapon. David also hosted Fan Addict, popular podcast produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, where he invites celebrity guests to share their favorite pop culture obsessions. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about being an improv champion, Airbnb queen, real estate advice from Mark Duplass, his Edinburgh shows, having meaningful moments with fancy people, Judah Jesus story, and finding what works best for you, emergency rabbis, being directed by Jerry Seinfeld, prioritizing and choosing fun, the crazy reason he lost his improv competition, plus plenty more. Before we get into this epic chat, I'd love it if you would share the podcast. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, write a nice review. It really helps the podcast grow and helps ensure I can lock in amazing guests like this one. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Let's get into it. I'm not sure if you still do it, but I know at least at one time in your life, you were the Airbnb king. Can you tell me about this?
I'm still going, Michael.
Okay. Yes, this is so exciting.
I appreciate that I'm an Airbnb king, but I will say I have an Airbnb, and we've only gotten 5-star reviews. So you can't get better than that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's someone out there who's made, way more money than me. So the word king is very subjective in what it infers to. If it infers to we're really clean and no one's told us otherwise, then I'm the queen of Airbnb.
Okay, you can be the queen. That's pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, you can be my mistress, as we're talking on the side.
I'd love that.
Wonderful. So, yeah, we have my Mark Duplass, of all people, is a famous actor, writer, and director who has done a lot of stuff. But I met him on The Morning Show, and we would always chat, and he lived near me in Silver Lake, in Los Angeles, and he had a huge home. I mean, big, beautiful. He doesn't even own it anymore, so it doesn't matter. I can just give you the address. He doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a guy who owns One Republic owns that house now, and it's like a recording studio. Yeah, it's a weird.
It's a recording studio. What do you mean? The house?
It's like a house, and it's a recording studio. It's a gigantic. It's like a mall, but it's a house. And I used to live like a somersault away from it in Silver Lake. Anyway, and I knew, and someone told me once he lived there. So when I worked with him, I was like, hey, I live right by you in your house. And he's like, well, I moved. I'm like, okay. And I was like, how did you get that place? Because I was just, you shoot the shit for a long time on these shows. There's more downtime than there is acting time. And he just told me about his real estate adventures, and he owned a place in Palm Springs, and he had a place in Big Bear. And right now, I don't know what he owns now because it's been a bit since I've seen him last. But I will end up running into him in our neighborhood because he lives nearby, and it'll always be nice to catch up. But he really inspired me to buy a second home. Sorry, this sounds so pretentious, but
No,
thankfully we had some money. We have a home. We're our home, and then I always wish to like diversify. This is two Jews talking about real estate. This is great. This feels so on point.
Yeah, that's actually what the podcast is about.
Is this a secret? It's a secret.
Yeah.
What Jews do with their money, the podcast. So we invest it. We don't spend it. I'll tell you that. And he was loving his Palm Springs place, and I'm like, I had a lot of family who used to live in Palm Desert area. Anyway, we would send each other, listings, and we eventually got a place in Palm Springs, a condo, and a really nice one. It's like it was used to be a unit in a hotel owned by a very cool person, but we got it for not very much money. Despite all the fanciness. Anyway, but I owe it to him. And then he told me that Nick Kroll gave him all this good information because Nick Kroll has a lot of real estate apparently. And when they were working on the league together, and I finally met Nick Kroll about like a month ago at an improv show he did. And I got to go up to Nick Kroll and be like, thank you for being patient zero. Without you, Nick Kroll begets Mark Duplass begets me. And that's a nice sentence to say. I don't know.
Especially for me, because I'm going to take advice from
yes, begets Michael Cahan.
Yeah.
So.
What
but
was
yes,
he like?
It's an Airbnb, and my wife got to design it. It's beautiful, and you should all go check it out. And anyway, it's called, go to staybungalowm.com, and that's enough of that. So.
Do we want to put it in the episode notes, or is that enough?
Nah, just you can let it be there. It's great.
Okay. Amazing. And was Nick Kroll like, who are you? Or was he like, thank you, I've been wanting to, share my knowledge? Like,
no, he was just like, oh, okay. He didn't care. I think people come up to him all the time about even weirder stuff. So,
but that's why I think when you have a normal conversation with someone, like we won't make this podcast about him, but that's like a normal conversation. You've got you're both friends with someone or someone. That is a way to have like a conversation. It's not like we share birthdays or I love you in this. This is like, thank you for some advice. It would be, I thought,
my goal is always to talk to someone who's a fancy person and say something to them that probably someone has not said to them. Like I was at a movie premiere because I'm good buddies with Tony Hale, and a movie that he was in and executive produced last year. And funny, this is funny. Next to me was we were all sitting in our seats, and we all had our names on the seats, and Nick Kroll was next to me. Isn't that funny that I'm bringing up the story? But he wasn't there. It was just the name on his seat. He didn't show up though. Anyway, throwing shade to Nick Kroll. But behind me, directly behind me, more name dropping, was Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's obviously good friends with Tony Hale for reasons of Veep. And I was like, what do I say to Julia? Because I really want to say something to her, and I don't want to be like, great job on Seinfeld, which she's heard, a bajillion times.
A couple of times.
So I said to her, I just wanted to say, thank you for being such a good friend to Tony. He really values you and really loves you, which is true. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. We love him so much. It was just a really sincere thing. My goal is always to have a sincere moment with someone, because I think so many of these celebrities just get, I wouldn't say insincere, but just sort of surface level, like, oh my gosh, can I take a photo with you? Like they're almost treated like an object versus, hey, I do know something about you. I'm a person, like our worlds are small together. And even when I just did a commercial the other day with Ben Affleck. I don't have to say what it was, but as an NDA, but I can say I did a commercial with Ben Affleck. Yeah, let's go with that. I did a commercial with Ben Affleck, and I instead of being like, "Hey, you're great in Good Will Hunting, thanks for that," I'm good friends with Janina Gavankar, who was his wife on film, and I was just like, "Hey, Janina says hello. She's awesome. And he like lit up. Like you could tell like
How nice.
something like when I said that to him, like his eyes literally were like, oh, I know Janina. Oh, he's like, oh, great. Yeah, she's amazing. Like, please tell her to say hi. Like it was just, that's always my goal when I go up to a celebrity these days. I'm like, there's probably some way that I am how connected to you, which is nice because it means my career's doing okay if I'm somehow connected to you more than I was maybe 15 years ago.
And now maybe Ben Affleck will do that to you in a couple of years as well. And you'll be like, that's nice. Because I think you also had one with Jerry Seinfeld as well, where he goes, of course, I don't remember the context, but you can tell us.
Exactly, Michael. Great research. I once was directed in a commercial by Jerry Seinfeld. And I was like, what do I say? I mean, I was like the lead of the commercial, one would say. And so I got to do like 2 full days with him, which was nice. And, he was hilarious and wonderful, and everything I could hope for as 2 Jews sitting here, like this was a dream come true.
Yep.
Absolute dream. It was a dream come true being in the callback room. I didn't know he was in the callback room. I walked in, and when he said my name, he was like, David, can you do this? Literally, it's so weird, Michael. It was the one time
wow, I can feel that
I felt the importance of when somebody says your name who you never expect to say your name. It'd be like if Obama said Michael, or whoever it is that you revere in sports, entertainment, or religion, or whatever. It was like, oh, I didn't realize the power in when someone says your name, because I had never expected him to say my name, and it was really cool. And so
such an awesome moment
to then work with him, though. I then said, I told him where I grew up. I grew up like, he grew up in Long Island, so did I. And so I was like, hey, I grew up in the 5 towns. I said my parents are from the 5 towns, which is this little kind of well-to-do little nook in Long Island, not the Hamptons, but it's near Queens. And he just looks at me with this like knowing smile and says, of course they did. And I'm like, okay, fuck you.
I reckon he would say that all the time. That's like his go-to line. Of course they did. Of course you know some. Yeah, you'd have to. I'm glad that you know so many people. And
me too.
Where did this desire to, I wouldn't say impress, because I've tried to do this in the past as well. What is the one thing I can say besides like, hi, or I love doing this? Where did that come from? Is that something you've been thinking about for like a while? Or do you just want to have a meaningful connection?
I think it's having a meaningful connection. I think especially doing the show that I do, which I'm bringing to Scotland, right? The Making Love with David Magidoff, and we can talk about that later. There's no rush on that, but just bringing it up is I always have to have a celebrity on, and I've learned sort of, I think, a life art, I learned from from doing the show, but is good for life in general. If you want to just have a connection with somebody that's real, find a way to just say something to them that's, I don't know how. I'm not saying these are the deepest connections in the world, but they're deeper than just saying the surface level thing that everyone knows. If I can take 2 seconds, and I'm a relational person, so comes much easier to me than most people. Nice. But it's a superpower of mine to be like, how do I know that person from a thing that maybe is a little off the path? And I go and I ask myself that, and I'm like, cool. When I go up to that person, because I am going to go up to that person, say hi, and I do the show and this and that. How do I go up to them in a way that just disarms them because if I'm like, hey, I know this person, it just creates trust. It creates less fear. Creates, okay, well, this person's not insane.
The barrier's gone. Yeah.
Like, oh, he knows, like the way that, like I said, that Ben Affleck looked at me, that Julia Louis-Dreyfus looked at me. These were like, oh, I'm going to talk to you like a person now. I'm answering you like I went from here. I'm putting my hands out for those who listen to audio, like a big fish to a small fish, meaning it goes from I'm putting you at a distance to, okay, you're kind of like, I wouldn't say you're my best friend. You're not my wife. You're not my family, but you're someone that I feel like I can probably trust, at least to have a few minutes of a conversation with, because you just told me that you're friends with a friend of mine. So, okay, cool. Then if you're friends with a friend of mine, great. Now you're friends with me. A little bit of that. Definitely a little bit of that.
I love that. That is amazing. Do you think that comes from doing improv? I think you started at 14. Do you think, because you're there to create a connection, as soon as you go on improv, whether you're doing a scene with multiple people, just one person, would it come from that? Probably
Maybe.
developed. Yeah.
It's a good question. I mean, I'd say it's more I'm an only child, and so there was just ways that I had to connect with people that people that weren't always around me all the time. I was the only child and divorced parents, so it's like, I needed to make friends. So maybe I'm going to go psychologically there, but
It could go, sorry for interjecting, it could go the other way. Sometimes, I'm not saying this is all, this can just be some people. Sometimes you're only child, you can just kind of keep to yourself. You can I'm like narcissistic and think you don't need that. Like you're the center of attention. But anyway.
no, yeah, it's some people are introverted, some people are extroverted. My daughter is a total extrovert at 3.5. She wants to go up to everybody. She's like, "Hi, I'm Lucy," and I go up to her and I say, "What's your name?" Like, so say, "What's your name?" And she just answers me and goes, "Lucy." I'm like, "No, you're supposed to say that to them." I'm like, "You're gonna get a lot more runway out of the whole 'Hi, I'm Lucy' thing if you ask them what their name is." But time will come with that.
Yep.
It helps. She's really cute, so it's good. But I do think improv is, or maybe it's the only childness that brought me into improv. You know what I mean? Like wanting to have a team of friends and doing yes anding with other people and laughing together. So that was my team play, is not being good at sports. So okay, improv is this place that I can mess around with other people, be the center of attention, from a mom who says that I'm special, right? And being in front of all these people. So yeah, I think it all plays into each other. And yes, it can go the opposite way, and I could have become a little hermit kid for sure.
And what made you, because I think age 14 and you start winning state championships like quite soon afterwards. This is crazy. Most people I know, they find improv like after high school or some during high school, but you found it at such a young age. I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do during school, because I only did it like after like uni days.
Yeah. Improv at my high school, there wasn't anything like that at my high school. It wasn't a fancy high school, public school in New Jersey, but there was this thing called forensics, which is a crazy name, but that's usually associated with the study of, like, forensics is death. It's like what Dexter did. Not to again get ahead of myself, but like that's what you would know forensics. It's like the people who go to a homicide, who are the people taking all the photos after a scene of a crime scene where someone died. It's usually the forensics team comes out and takes the blood samples and does all of that. That's what I thought forensics was. I still to this day cannot, I guess I can Google and find out what the word forensics means. Clearly there's another definition of forensics that means,
I'm going to go with yours. I think it's that.
Great. It means like speech and debate. So there was a speech and debate club essentially in my high school in New Jersey, and a bunch of different states in America had this. Some states didn't. And so someone invited me to doing this, and there was all these different categories, and one of them, I didn't do the debate thing. Not that smart. Or did I care about journalism and history? But I did this. I did one of the categories I did was called impromptu, and it's essentially, short version, was solo improv. So I would get a suggestion.
Solo.
Yeah, solo. That's how I
crazy.
First started doing improv, was just by myself. And you play all the characters in a room. And then on top of it, like when you're like in the finals room, when they like in the high school tournaments, so nerdy, but I loved it. It'd be like 6 people in a room, and everyone would come into that room, because when you didn't get into the finals, everyone goes to see other friends in the finals, right? And so this was the fun finals. No one's going to the debate finals, boring. You go to the impromptu finals, because improv finals, fun. That's fun. So you're in this room with all these people, and they give you a suggestion, and you like look at it and you tell them how you want your time to be split up, and then you sit at a desk for like 3 minutes to think about what you're going to do. And everyone in the room is quiet for 3 minutes. So you're just sitting in that room, sitting quietly with 50 to 75 people in that room, all being quiet while you're just thinking of whatever funny thing you're going to do. And then time's on, and then you go on in front of everybody and you just do it. You just do the thing you're going to do. That to me was a good trial by fire of like learning how to do improv.
Definitely.
And then, yeah. And I got to be state champion in New Jersey, and that was fun. But then our coach never took us to the nationals because he was cheap. So state championship is where I was done. Say that again.
Did he or she take the money and then fled?
I wish there was money. There was no money. There was a big fancy trophy that you very akin to a bowling trophy, and it was great. But yeah, never went to nationals, which was a bummer because our coach just didn't want to.
That's hilarious. I've got so many questions on this. That's also crazy. Do we say that you were 14, regardless what age you are, to have the confidence to do that is crazy to me.
I was probably 16, 17 at that when I got the state championship. But when I started doing it, yeah, I was a freshman, I think. Yeah, I was a freshman doing impromptu. I was 13, 14, yeah.
And did you have
I got trophies, yeah. I mean, so
do you still have the trophies?
Yeah, they're at my mom's house. Yeah.
Nice.
I never did. I mean, I did a little bit of sports growing up, so that was my like high school sports, So it's like the one time in my entire life that I ever did anything like competitive, really. So
Yeah.
I'm really proud of like I'm proud of my time of forensics in high school. It was a really special time that I've never done any like competition since, and it's something. Yeah, it's great memories for sure.
That is amazing to hear. I'm glad that you had that. And the confidence side from 14 to 16 to 17, were you just, I know you said you were more extroverted. Like, did you get nervous doing these things? Was it natural? Like, can you tell me a bit if you remember the mindset there? Because that's crazy to me. I know it's a long time ago, but still to be able to get up and perform.
Well, I'm 21 now, so it wasn't that long ago.
I thought you were 20, so you look great.
Oh, thanks. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I never really thought too hard about it other than I was good at it. I was interested in it. I was excited about it. I love the idea of doing theater competition versus just doing a play at the high school. We didn't do plays because this was just so much more fun. It was just so much more fun. You got to choose the thing you wanted to do, and there was a thing called humorous interpretation where I could take like a chunk of a Neil Simon play or a Monty Python sketch. And again, I'm performing the whole thing. I'm doing all the different characters.
That just blows my mind that there's no one there. There's no one there to help you out in case you pause or you stutter or whatever, or you can't think of something. It's just you the whole time.
Here's my favorite story. My best friend, I won't say his name because I don't think he likes the story. But it was the same tournament. It was the final tournament I ever did. It was the state championships of New Jersey in whatever year it was, and we both double broke. Breaking is meaning you get into the finals. So we were the double breaking of the finals for the state championship in impromptu. Both him and I, best friends to this day. We still text every day. It's in second grade, best friends, brothers.
That's cute.
And it is very cute. It's the cutest thing you'll ever hear. And he and I double broke in impromptu. So we're going to compete against each other in impromptu, which is the improv. That's what they called improv. And then we also broke in duo. So that's the thing where you get to perform together. So we did this whole Monty Python kind of medley together, and you can make and cut pieces. It's fun. So we both said we're going to go to duo first, and then when we're done, and duo can be dramatic or it can be humorous. So we did humorous, and we went to duo and we did our thing first because we said everyone in the room, hey, we both double broken impromptu. Can we do ours first? And then we'll head over to the other room. Okay. What a great way to end our whole run. 4 years of high school. We're at state championships. We double broke. He's my best friend. We're doing something against each other and together. You can't make this up.
Yeah.
So we're in the duo room. And we're in the room and we're both doing it. And the way you do it is I'm standing and I kind of am angled out to the left. And he's standing and he's angled out to the right. You didn't actually do a scene looking at each other. Does that make sense? Yes. You would do duos. You would either look out straight and pretend like you're talking to each other. Like I would put my hand out to shake and he would put his hand out to shake, but we're both facing forward side by side. That's how we would interact. That's how you didn't actually perform the scene like a piece of theater. You did this sort of like odd
Would you see
interpretation.
each other? Like, are you looking to the side?
No, you don't. You don't look at each other
at all. So how do you know when to shake? Or you go, I'm shaking.
You don't look at each other. It's a very interesting way to see theater be done, and I have to admit, it's actually really fun. Okay, so I'm cocked a little to my left. He's cocked a little to his right, both standing side by side. Okay, and we're doing our scene. It's a medley of Monty Python. And it's funny, we cut it up together and we're starting. It's going really well. And then all of a sudden, halfway through, he jumps to like much further in. And it kind of doesn't make sense. And then we're over. It's over. And I went, and my whole body is like, what happened? And I still, visceral memory, being outside the room with him after we left. And I went, what happened? And he went, David, I looked down and this guy was sitting there at the desk. And all of a sudden, I see he's just holding his penis in the palm of his hand. And I went,
God.
what are you talking about? He went, his penis was just in his hand, just in his hand. And I went, what do you mean? He said his fly was down, his penis, I don't know. I don't think it was excited. And it was just in his hand. And he looked down and it totally just, his brain fried and he forgot what he was doing and he skipped to wherever it was at the end. And I went, okay. And I remember just being like, I wanted to argue with him, but I couldn't. That's what he saw. And then the two of us now were walking down to the hall to do this impromptu final together. And I just was like, it fucked it up. It was just, we was going really well. And I was like so pissed, but whatever. And here we were going to the final. He never recovered. He did a perfectly fine impromptu. It wasn't great. I was somehow able to pull out a really good impromptu, and we ended up getting the 8th place, which was the last place in duo, because our day was really great. All of our scores through the whole day were great. That last round was sucky, and that just brought us like where we were maybe like in the middle of the pack to maybe we could have even won the thing. It just brought it all the way down because it just like it was a limp dick of a performance. So, and to this day, he still stands by it. And I'm between us, Michael. I genuinely don't think that ever happened. That's just Michael. That's insane. Isn't that insane?
This is the craziest story, but I get that you guys are both very creative people. How can he imagine someone's schlong out there? Like that is very hard it doesn't sound like it was very hard, but that is interesting to imagine. Can you complain and be like some schmuck that just put it out there, bang, and
you know, it's a great, you know what? You bring up a really good point that we probably could have filed something. It's amazing we didn't think of that at the time. I don't know. I have no memory of really what happened after that. I just, to this day, I can picture us standing out in that hallway, him telling me what he saw. And I know the vision of it, the point of view of it, the way it felt, the color, because it's just it's like when someone tells you about 9/11, it's like you remember these moments. That was that moment for me. I was just like, it was a big deal for us. And then all of a sudden, the explanation was just completely ludicrous. And if he was sitting here today, I would tell him he was wrong, and he would fight me tooth and nail. And I have no way to prove it. It is what it is.
Well, I want to be like, did that make you more resilient, but you didn't see it? It would be great if the stories you saw and you're like, you know what, I can do this. I believe in us. I don't care about this freak. I'm going to perform to the best of my abilities. And then, you just dominate and that guy then gets arrested. That would be the fairy tale ending right there.
Well, look. I wish he got arrested. Some 15-year-old kid. But I
thought it was like an old man.
No, it was a kid. It was just a student. It was a packed, bad. Like I told you, these packed rooms. So even for duo,
it was adults.
Oh God, oh Lord, I think we would have probably done. So I think that's the thing. Yeah. He's like, I still remember what the kid looked like because he pointed at him to me or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was just sort of like a doughy. He kind of, if my memory serves me, which it shouldn't because this was too long ago, but if you told me now to someone who'd have to draw it out and do a sketch artist drawing, I would say he kind of looked like a slightly older version of Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It's very specific. Were you like, and he had a mole on the left side, like 3 centimeters away from the nose.
He was just a slightly chubby blonde kid. That's my memory. But he just. Yeah, I remembered him from the room, but he was like, yeah, I just looked down and all of a sudden he was fine. And then the next time I looked down and I just saw his penis. It couldn't have been his penis, Pinkle. It must have been a pencil or an eraser or something. But for some reason he saw it was a penis. Who does that? That's insane.
I'm surprised you're still friends with this guy. Fuck him.
Fuck him. No, I I got state
I know.
championship at the end of the day. I did persevere, Michael. That's the
So,
thing. I did persevere in my own weird way.
so do you then do the solo one right after that?
That was the yeah, right after that, we literally we walked down the hallway to find the impromptu room, and we went right into that room. And then that's the thing. We then both went in to do the impromptu finals, and then he went and did not do well because he was really shaken by it, and I just thankfully wasn't as shaken, and I put together a good piece, and there you go.
So here's the story. This is the newspaper article. You are furious at your friend for ruining this opportunity. You could let that actually impact you. You could be like, this guy made up that there was a schlong there. How dare he? You guys were doing so well. And that could, like, seriously, like, if you're really angry or annoyed, that can really come in. You just let that go and you won. Like, that's pretty cool, no?
Yeah, I'm proud of myself that day. I'm proud. I wish he would have, and I wish he had that moment for himself because he's such a dear friend, and why would he try to tank our thing? So it's like I wanted us all to win that day. So it's a bummer that was not a great day for him. And
You're a
however,
mensch.
has a
You're very
beautiful
polite.
wife, two great children, and a great life. So it's all worked out.
You're a mensch. I'm glad that he got all of that, despite the horrible, horrible mistake that he made.
Thank you,
And
Michael.
move, moving forward, you are an improv expert. I think in LA you ran your own improv comedy company. I know it doesn't exist anymore, but I'd love to know why you started that. What inspired it?
Yeah, we even had a chapter in New Zealand for a short spell, Michael.
I read that, but I wasn't sure if it. That's very cool. I want
Don't
to
hold
listen
that
more about
against me. Don't hold that against me.
that.
So yeah, I went to a church, which I'll keep nameless for now. That was really beautiful at the time. I'm the Jew who goes to church, by the way. I'm so sorry. Jesus was a Jew. Jesus was a Jew, and and it made me more connected to my Jewish faith. That's a whole story for a different podcast. But I am still the Jew who goes to church. It's a very beautiful current church, beautiful gay pastors, and all sorts of delicious, wonderful happenings in life, and all sorts of ways to experience the uniqueness of God in whatever way you want. But it is Jesus. What can I say? But I believe if you believe in something beautiful and good and it feels like God to you, blessings. That's what I say.
Nice.
So, what the deal was at the time was there was a very artsy fartsy church at this old church that I went to. And someone was like, hey, we're going to do an improv at the church one day. And I went, oh, and they all knew that I did a lot of improv. And I was like, oh, my friend heard about it through the grapevine. She's like, they're gonna do improv at church one day. And she's like, I thought you'd want to know. And I was like, thank you. And I thought to myself, I could either just let them do it or I could get involved. But I can't let them do it because I'd be very judgy of it. So I knew I had to get in. If they're gonna do it on my home turf, I have to be involved because I'm just such an improv person. And I
Yeah.
forced myself into their little group, and they're like, great, come. And we did it. It went great. And then we started just doing improv like before church. Like it'd be like there'd be worship music, and then we would do an improv set, and it was really fun. And we just interview
Whoa.
someone from the crowd, kind of similar to what I do with my show now. Or get a suggestion about something regarding the topic. If it was about family, we'll do like a family thing. But it was pretty good improv. It was like we didn't cuss, but we didn't it wasn't cheesy. It was good. It was just like long form improv at church. It was cool, very cool if you ask me. And then one day I
Nice.
was like, we should teach classes because I thought it'd be fun to teach because that's just how I roll. And I was teaching classes at the time for money. And I'm like, what if we do a free class? That'd be fun. It's a beautiful thing to give back. And we had like 6 people in a room to start, and then it grew to like 20, and it grew to 40. And then I'm like, shoot, we got to
Whoa.
turn this into 2 classes. And then it was free, but it was good, and it was a good vibe. It was good energy, and it was just sweet. And the only thing churchy about it was we would just say there's an optional prayer time at the end of every class if people want to stick around and pray. I don't care what you believe in. For some people it's just, hey, I've got a car accident and can't afford my bill. Can you guys just pray for me? Just that I could find some sort of way to find money, or my mom's not doing well. She just got some diagnosis. It was beautiful. So it's like, it didn't matter
That's
what you believed in. It was just sort of this time. It was a beautiful kumbaya kind of time. Be like, hey, this energy is going to produce good feelings, good vibes, make you feel better about life, and maybe even, dare I say, answer to prayer. So
I love that, by the way. I think that's
thanks.
amazing, especially tiny community. And was it on behalf of the church or something aside of the church or kind
It
of both?
was because I think we asked ourselves, since this was through the church, even though all the almost all the classes were elsewhere. They because we grew to 5 levels of classes,
Whoa.
13 classes a week. Every teacher wasn't getting paid. Every student wasn't paying money. It was this big, beautiful kind of give back experience, and we had it was great. It was amazing. It really was a wonderfully special time, and I'm so
Nice.
grateful that it happened. But I think because it was church related, we said, how do we make this connecting to God in some way versus just this could be anything? And I think whoever came up with that idea, I'd like to say it was my idea. Maybe it was just that let's stick around and have a little optional prayer time. It was great because we always said like I got that or I got your back, which is a very improv saying. Before you go on stage, you kind of say I got your back, I got your back. And
Yep.
so when someone would say, hey, my dad just lost his job and we just ask for a prayer for that, someone will, in the circle will say, I got your back, or and it's just a beautiful yes
Mm.
anding, very improv-y thing that we were doing, and it was lovely. And so many people would always say, I've never been a part of something like this, and this was so special and so sweet, and I normally don't pray, but you guys had made me feel comfortable doing this. And so if I just got people more open-minded to the idea that there's something bigger out there, something beautiful that's for you, or at the very least, hey, you don't have to believe in anything that's created out there, universe, God, fine. Did you enjoy just this group of people here in this time in this room? Great. That's the bare minimum that I'm hoping
That's
you experience, and they do. And it was great. So that's, and then it ended like good things end, because sometimes good things just end. But it was really great. Yeah.
You said that so well, and I love even from you showing people the door and they can open the door if they want, but especially just from a community feeling tight knit with someone. And I love the tapping on the back, the yes and the improv philosophy. That's so nice that you did that as well. Are there any takeaways from when it ended, or any lessons learned, or is it just one of those things where you're just so grateful that you did and you learned a lot? And
I'm really grateful for it because it made me really it just cemented for me community and how important community is. I always knew community is important. The church was a great community. My current church is a great community. My friend groups are great communities. But that group of people was a very special group because we were all giving our time and not getting anything back other than community and fun and love, and the way we all kind of supported each other and had each other. It was just great. It's again percolating into an Edinburgh thing. Like it it's like what people go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for. That's what I think Monkey
uh,
Butler was for all of us. That was the name of the company, was Monkey Butler. And then someone from a church in New Zealand was like, "Oh wow, like we traveled to New Zealand once at a conference. They're like, can we do this? So we'll do a class here." And I said, "You got it." And then someone in Sheffield, UK was like, "We'll do it." I'm like, "Great." And then someone in Boulder, Colorado was like,
whoa.
"Great." And in Denver, I think there's still one going in Denver. I'm pretty sure there is still a Monkey Butler in Denver. They are still cooking, so it's not completely dead, and I think that's really beautiful.
You've done that's amazing. Not many people can have such a profound impact. And just as I said, the connection. I think that's amazing.
Thanks.
And I know this is a topic for another time, but you can go as deep as you want.
Yeah.
Your what did you call it? You said Due to Jesus story. I think you were writing a pilot on this as well. What sparked?
Yeah, I wrote a pilot with a good friend, Aaron Fullerton, who's such a great writer, and he's always going from television show to television show because he's such a good writer and a good friend. But I wrote it. It was called King David, and
Yes.
it was great. It was great. Yeah, it's my, you know, my Judah my Judah Jesus story, which hasn't really been told, but it's true. Unfortunately, I finished the pilot, and we didn't really shop it around too hard. But then I just had this unfortunate feeling, and maybe this is the wrong way to think of it, but I'm just being real with you here, Michael, and just especially since you're a Jewish person as well. Uh, I don't think people are currently interested in this story, if that makes sense. Like, I think if you meet me, that's one thing, but I don't think I don't know. I don't. You know what? Maybe now in Trump's America, in some crazy way, it is the story that people want to hear, but Israel's not in the greatest favor at the moment. I wouldn't say Jews also are currently in the greatest of favor. I'm not saying that it's something that can't be done. I mean, there's a show called Nobody Wants This, which you probably
Yeah,
know
yeah,
with
yeah.
Timothy
Alan Bro.
Simons, who I got
Yeah.
friendly, and Adam Brody and Kristen Bell, who I worked with on Veronica Mars, and um,
Oh, true.
great group, and it's a beautiful show that definitely touches on Judaism and in a beautiful way. But yeah, I think it's hard for me to to feel like this is something that if I shop it around is going to get a lot of bites. So I'm just sort of waiting on the right timing to bring it back, if that makes sense. But
I get that. I've written heaps of scripts. Some things, there's different seasons and stuff like that. But I disagree with you for many
good.
reasons. Is this
Go
is
for it, please. Honestly, I need to hear that because I do love our story and I think it's pretty great. And um, Duplass even inspired me of like the kind of style and the writing and how we wanted to do
oh,
it.
did
Yeah.
you get him
No,
to
no,
produce
he's
it?
not involved. He just as it was like a voice that was sort of inspiring to me because
Nice.
we were working on projects while I was on the morning show, and I would always ask him like what was the name of the one that he did with Ray Romano? I think it was Paddington or not Paddington, Paddleton. I forget the name of it, but it was such a beautiful movie with him and Ray Romano, and it was so simple, and I just liked how he doesn't have to be Fast and the Furious type movie for you to really be wildly engaged. And
Agreed.
so I just think I really enjoyed what I wrote, and I might circle back around to it again soon. So thank you for giving me the encouragement.
I'm not done yet. I'll give you a little bit more.
Okay, okay.
Did you say this is a movie or I thought it was a pilot?
It is a pilot. It's a TV.
And
It'd be a TV show.
comedy?
Yeah, a comedy. A comedy that has a lot of heart in the way that Shrinking or Ted Lasso or yeah. Mhm.
Okay, you can already sound it's so interesting. You don't need to be a religious person to like it. I don't know the full depths of it, but I've got a couple of questions on that. But if you look at
Sure.
like Curb Your Enthusiasm, for example, yes, Larry's Jewish, and yes, there are like Jewish themes. I assume there's more themes in what you're doing, but people aren't like watching it necessarily for the Jewish connection in that sense of like what Larry is. Like you don't need to be Jewish or a religious
Yeah.
person to enjoy Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I hope
Yes.
that that helps as well. And there was
It
one thing that you
does. It does.
and there's one thing that you wrote when I read this article that there was an emergency rabbi. Can you tell me about this concept? Because I've never heard about this in my life.
I know it's great, and I think this is something that I think I want to just, I almost want to just do a completely different story about me and the emergency rabbi, because that to me is really, that to me is is that's really the humor. So thank you for reminding me about that. Like that's the story that I almost want to tell that I think people are fine with because the term emergency rabbi is pretty great. But yeah, when I told, this was during college, and that's when I had my aha. I think Jesus was a real person and actually maybe the Son of God. And uh, I kind of like what he had to say. And I'm pretty sure this is what I want to do now with my spiritual walk, and have a spiritual walk. And so I told my family, and that did not go over well because Jews hearing that, like, think about it, Michael. Like most Jews, when they hear that, they just think, "Oh, is he a Nazi now?" Like literally, like
What do you- that's the exact time.
I know, but my family, it's not, and they weren't worried that I was gonna, send them to the camps. They were just worried that I was doing something different. They were just, it's just,
Yeah.
I know families who are Catholic who say they're going to be a Christian feel like they're doing something different and are offended. And it's like,
I get it.
what? Catholics and Christians?
When you leave your whatever your community is, there's always going to be
Exactly.
eyeballs, and more times than not, it's just more that there's safety in the numbers. Don't want you to go out. All the stuff that you've probably
And you're just saying, and it's and they're seeing it as you don't want to do this thing that we brought you up in. It feels like an affront to them. They're
yep.
saying, "Oh, you're not choosing us anymore." It literally doesn't matter. I could say I'm a Presbyterian and I'd like to now be an Episcopalian. They're going to go, "What?" Just the fact that I'm saying that I'm just not doing the exact same thing that they're doing is just curiosity, question mark, feeling upset, feeling betrayed moment, which I get and I respect that and I understand that. And this was something that was and is really important to me. And thankfully now everyone's totally cool with it, which is great because they
Nice.
see that my life is great. So they're like, okay, well, he's not. It didn't like change him in some way that we were all scared about. I think you have to eventually just do life now that you say that thing and be like, oh, okay, and then everything's okay. Oh, okay. It was scary when he said that, but nothing's really changed. In fact, he's maybe a little happier or better, or I don't know. So when that happened, my dad was like, look, your grandfather's not happy, obviously. He's like, he wants you to see an emergency rabbi because the grandparents are the most like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so like my grandfather like sent me in the mail, my bar mitzvah album because he was upset. And it was like, that was his way of saying, well, if you're done, then I'm done. And it's like, okay, well, that's mature.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine getting that. I like it just came in the mail. There was no letter to it. It was just a bar mitzvah album. It was mine. I'm like, okay.
You have to write this show, please, but continue.
I know. Thank you, Michael. So he said he'd like you to meet with a rabbi. And so there's actually rabbis out there, essentially, that go by emergency rabbi. There are rabbis who specialize in moments when someone is leaving the quote unquote faith and leaving Judaism, whatever that means to them. And they are people who try to have conversations with people like me to be like, so what's going on? Like almost like rabbi therapists. And it's like, this is what's going on here. And it's like, okay. And he took me to his daughter's wedding, which was beautiful. And I got to see a real like slightly orthodox kind of wedding where the men on one side, the women on the other side. And yeah. So it was really some beautiful things. And I had some beautiful conversations with him. But ultimately, I was like, okay. But having that time but I said yes, because if I didn't say yes, then they'd always be like, you could have just said yes. And I'm like, fine, I'll say yes. Because if I say no, I'm kind of fucked. I kind of fucked myself because then they're always going to hang that over me. But if I say yes, then I go, I did see him. You can talk to the rabbi, see what he said, right? So I'm glad I did that. I still wasn't, my people pleasing to my parents and such. But ultimately, it was like, okay, like this was a very nice man, but ultimately, he wasn't saying anything that made me go, ooh, ah. Because I just grew up like, I don't know about you, but I had a bar mitzvah, obviously, as I said. I went to Hebrew school, but I didn't, my parents, though, weren't very religious and didn't really talk about God almost ever. And after the bar mitzvah, that was that. Like, God was just not a part of any of our conversations. And I always would go to, you know, high holidays and we did Passovers and I loved all of that. But you can do all of that. And those are just moments throughout a year, it's just like a Easter Christian. It's like, they're traditions, they're family moments, they're beautiful. And I love them. I still do them to this day. I like them even more because back then I was agnostic. Now I'm like, oh, I actually think this might have happened. And even if it didn't, even if none of this is true, is this not make my life more beautiful? Do these stories not make my world paradigm more inspiring and loving and kind? A pastor once said that in like a room where someone was like, what if it's not, what if it's all bubkas? He's like, if it is, this is a pretty nice way to live life if you do it the right way. Like these stories to inform us how to live life and beautiful. It's like, great. He's not wrong. So, there you go. That is how I feel. I do think God is very real. And I do think he came, she came, it came in many different forms. And I think Muslims are absolutely right. I think Buddhists are right I think God, just like humans, if we look at humans as images of God, if there's a zillion kinds of humans, then there should be a zillion kinds of ways in which to connect to God. So I do think God would have, the people who say Jesus is the only way to God is the dumbest thing I ever heard. I think it should, I think Jesus is a beautiful way to get to God. And I think if you read about him, it's pretty cool shit. But I also think Jews and Muslims and things that you don't even, witches and crystals, I think as long as the fruit of your life is beautiful, I'm pretty sure then your connection to God is probably pretty strong. Because I think that's one of the greatest things you could see. It's like the fruit of somebody. If someone's like, I believe in God, but they're a dickhead, probably not the God that I want to be a part of, because a God who's a dickhead doesn't seem like the right kind of God. But that's again,
You have
maybe
a
a podcast for
very
another day.
you have a very beautiful take on it. That was very nice to hear. And last question on that, otherwise we'll move on. But have you found, because it sounds like just hearing you talk, that you've got quite a gratitude outlook? Was that something that you had before, or is this something that has been amplified, or it has nothing to do with it? Because I think this gratitude outlook is very important, especially in the creative arts, to realize, because in a life full of rejection, things you're getting not as much things as you want to get, all of that stuff. And what I've started to notice a bit of a trend, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that seems to be really important for tackling this career.
I agree. Yeah, I'm around a lot of negativity because the industry right now is going through some changes. But I'm that kind of person. If you talk to enough people, they'll say, I don't even want to say what they're going to say, because I genuinely don't believe it. It's like, all I know is there are too many TV shows for me to still keep watching on a daily basis that I'm not caught up on, movies that I still haven't seen. The day when the industry is dead is when I've done. There's just like my wife and I at night are like, I got nothing to watch. We have, excuse
There's
me,
a lot.
too many things to watch.
Yep.
That is good.
Mm.
It may not be hitting all the notes that everyone's saying it used to be. And this, everyone likes to say used to be. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm working more now than I hadn't. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been I'm like, always just be someone of value and be grateful. I mean, honestly, that's very biblical stuff, just to be like, God is constantly saying, remember me, remember me, remember me, because we forget, we forget, we forget, because it's so easy to forget. Um, like, Michael, I was reading this in the Wall Street Journal the other day. Again, I speak this to you as a Jew. Like, the Holocaust is becoming something that's, because there's less and less survivors. Like, the Europe is, and Germany is becoming less and less the like bugaboo, because, and we're going to get to a day when the Holocaust is this thing that happened, and people, it's just such a crazy atrocity that I think people don't like to come to terms with, that
Mm.
it's going to sort of fade out like a concept, and that's the scariest thing ever. So we have to remember all the things. And I think one of those things that's really important beyond tragedy is just gratitude. It's just like, what, because if you don't do it, our brains are really bunk. Memory is a real. Did you ever hear that Brian Williams, helicopter story? Malcolm Gladwell, author, podcaster. I love him. Outliers, Tipping Point, all that. And he talks in one of his books about our memories. And there's the story that Brian Williams, who was like the head of, I believe, NBC News, as like the head evening news anchor, who America looked to be this trusted news source, told this story on David Letterman, how he was like in Iraq during the war, and like a helicopter that he was in got like downed. And we find out that the story is that didn't happen at all, that he made that up, something like that. I'm kind of half speaking of memory. I'm basically trying to say is that, and then Brian Williams, he like went on different, like he went on Howard Stern, he went on different things, and the story changed a little bit each time. And then the pilot got interviewed, and the moral of the story is he got fired, because you have this head of, the man that people look to be the, the head of your news, the main anchor, is now lying about this very important thing. And they're like, what else could he be lying about? And in his interviews, he's like, this is literally what I remembered. I don't remember. He's like, I don't remember sharing it like this in different ways. This is the memory that I had. And it wasn't that Brian Williams was trying to, you know, impress, or that he was trying to dupe anyone. Malcolm Gladwell was going down the road saying, our memories are just not reliable. Like, our memories, when we think, like, there have been stories that I've been telling you today, Michael, that I'm like, it's possible that's not what happened,
Yeah.
but this is how we remember it, or how I remember telling the story the last time I told the story. And so, moral of the story is to rely on our memories, apparently, from was the
I've also
moral.
heard this as well, and it can
Yeah.
change with time. And
Yeah. So that's why, if you got to keep remembering things, because if you're just like, yeah, I won't, but then the time that I have to remember that thing. So just memories are just, we have we are terrible narrators of our own lives. So the more we can just constantly remind ourselves, because if you keep saying, well, if enough people keep saying, well, the business is this, the business is that, the business is boo, the business is going bad, then you're almost making a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's in the way that Trump is saying, hey, that 2020 election was really bad. Hey, that 2020 election was really terrible. Hey, it's like, it wasn't. It was a perfectly fine election. He's just hoping because he knows people are dumb. And a lot of his voters are interesting, and can, if someone just says the same lie, the same thing over and over again, the way that we scroll on social media and our brains start to morph, our brains are just very malleable. And so that's why truth has become this very wishy-washy thing. So God's like, fucking remember me, remember the true, everything you can, remember the true and the good, because it's very easy to forget or to be convinced of lies, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. And also from like my previous work, I did kinesiology and a lot of like subconscious beliefs and stuff. You can be a topic for another time.
Yeah.
There's an exciting thing about like memories and stuff. You can reframe like
Yeah.
traumas or negativities and almost delete them without sweeping them under the rug. So that's a really interesting point. And also it's really important because everyone's like the industry is dying as well. There, as you said, there are and also I'm a screenwriter, so I don't buy into there's
Great.
all of that stuff, but there is so much good shows. It's just there might not be any because the quality of shows or most, there's always bad shows. The quality of shows are so good. It's hard to be like that Breaking Bad or the Game of Thrones because the quality is so much better. So people always go, "Oh, there's no good shows." I'm like, that is not true. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Anyway, that's my rant. The last
I
thing I want to
agree.
talk before we talk about your shows in Edinburgh, and also you do it around America as well, is just general questions. Is how do you deal with the rejection or the moments of no work? I know we spoke about rejection before. Do you have like a philosophy? What keeps you sane? Because this is, a large part of your life. Do you have any practices or anything to help?
Yeah, being around my friends, doing my show. My show is my own little fun thing, and it's becoming work, but it's still my thing, and that's nice. I think we all have to have our own thing. Like you have your podcast. It's just great. You got to have your own thing. Got to have your own thing. The thing that no one could take away from you, that you've control over in a good way. Not like control, but like
Yeah,
this is
I
my
get it.
thing, and no one, you know. um,
Or goes into
and
like hobbies, like having something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. I think that's
yeah,
crucial to living a great life. But
yeah, I think just being able to, going out to a movie with a friend, or my wife and I go see this comedy show down the street from us, which has got great people in it. And I actually did it 2 weeks ago or last
oh,
week.
nice.
And yeah, just, and getting lunches with friends and coffees with friends and meeting people and going on vacations when you can, or little weekend stays somewhere, going to new restaurants, stuff like that. I think, just got to be a person. Going to our community, our church, which we love. It's good people, and yeah,
I think that's very important because sometimes when people are like, I'm an actor, or I'm a comedian, when you're not doing that thing, then your inner life can
no,
kind of be destroyed, which we've established is not the case for you whatsoever.
no, you got to keep busy. And so I've got, this whole, literally this Edinburgh has been like a daily thing for me since December, I don't know,
Oh,
10th.
why December the 10th? Is that when you had to like put in the form or something?
Well, the story goes, Fran Healy of the band Travis, which is still huge in the UK. I have no idea what they are in Australia. In America, not as popular these days, very
Our
sadly.
our audience is UK. The biggest audience is UK, America, and Australia. So
Great.
there'll be people.
So Travis they had the #2 album in the UK last year. They're doing fine in the UK. They're doing
Nice.
just fine,
Yeah.
which is great. And it's a band that I've always loved because I went to a summer camp that all our counselors are British people for some crazy reason. And so I learned a lot about Britpop and British music at an early age. And that's how I got into bands like Oasis and Blur and Pulp, and then that parlayed into Travis and parlayed into a lot of other bands, Radiohead. And so I've loved Travis ever since. There's just, as it was like Oasis, and then Travis was my number two band. And I've always listened to their new albums. I've seen them on tour a number of times. I even met them all at a meet and greet once because my friend won a House of Blues tickets to see them through an NPR thing. It's all American jargon, forgive me. But uh, yeah, so I did meet them once very quickly and had like the nice interaction, and that was that. So anyway, moral of the story, I had magical thing happen where Fran Healy, who lives in LA, he I knew his agent somehow. And I didn't even know he was a friend. He happened to be a music agent, and he almost one day I was like, "Oh, you represent Travis? Wait, Fran lives in LA. Wait, could you ask Fran to do my show?" He's like, "Yeah, he'll do it." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I even cried a little bit when I found out. I gotta be
That's
honest. I was
awesome.
driving to a gig, and I was just listening to Travis, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm tearing up. I'm like, I'm gonna meet him. I'm like, he's gonna be on my show. And he's like, "What songs do you want me to play?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
This is a big deal for me. This is a really big deal for me.
That's
And
awesome.
he came out and did the show. Lisa Loeb, I don't know how popular she is outside of America, but Lisa Loeb's quite popular as well. She had a huge Grammy when, she's won a Grammy and had a number one single in the 90s. She
Whoa.
became a friend, is awesome. So she came to this after party and to the show as well for the holiday show. And he had such a good time, and his story was so funny, and the whole thing was great. And we're all chatting afterwards. He's like, "Have you ever taken your show to Edinburgh?" And I was like, "No, I've been to Edinburgh before for one thing." He's like, "But this is, I got like a lot of people in my show. It's like I have a rapper, I have a poet, I've got four improvisers and a band." I'm like, "This would be a lot. And I've got a kid, a wife."
Cat.
He's like, "If you ever wanted to go to Edinburgh," or as he would say it, if I my bad Scottish accent, he's like, "If you ever wanted to go to Edinburgh, I'll go do it with you. Just let me know. This was such a good time. I had so much fun." And I went, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "It's just this show would go really well over in Edinburgh. This is like a perfect kind of like Edinburgh Fringe show. This would be great." And I went, "What are you talking about?" And then at night, I went to bed with my wife. I'll never again these moments we remember. I remember sitting there like cross-legged in bed, like sitting with her, and I was like, "So Fran said like he would go to Edinburgh," and she's like, "Was he being serious?" And I went, "I don't know. I think he was, but that also doesn't make sense." And so I text, she's like, "Well, if he's being serious, this feels like a deathbed kind of thing. So maybe we should look into it." And I went, "Okay." So the next day I texted him saying, "Thanks for coming to the show, and I'll keep you posted on Edinburgh." He wrote, "Penciling it in." And I went,
Oh, that's
"Just to take
huge.
temperature." And I was like, I showed it to Sarah. I was like, she's like, I'm like, and I'm like, the day goes by. I don't remember what I did next, but I like a day or two went by, and I think I texted him. I was like, "Hey, could you hop on the phone with me? Because if you're really being serious about this, I kind of think I need to chat with you." So it went from like never to like I can't believe I met him to like I had to
Besties.
put on my big boy pants because I get scared of these people. I don't. The more I talk to my heroes, I don't want them to like be mean to me because they're my heroes still, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
still a young boy at heart, and he's like on the phone with me. He's like, "Yeah, I think it'd be really special." He's like, "I'm texting with my agent now because we had a big album we toured around with last year. We're not going to kind of keep things a little low this year. We're not going to do all the big British music festivals and such. But I think we're gonna be around. So if you want, I'll do it." And I went, I'll look into dates and things." And it's like telling a kid like me, it'd be like, "Hey, I'm Bruce Springsteen, and if do you know that big New Jersey comedy festival? I'll go do that big New Jersey comedy festival with you." It'd be like what, like Hugh Jackman saying, "Hey, I'll do Adelaide with you." And it's
Yeah.
like, well, if Hugh Jackman's gonna say, so that's how it felt
You have
like.
to do it. Yeah.
It's like the Scottish bands. There's Travis, it's Cranberries, it's the Proclaimers. Shirley Manson from Garbage is Scottish. I mean, band wise, Franz Ferdinand, Bell and Sebastian. But I'm like, Travis, it just meant I just know that Fran had to be a big draw there. And so this felt magical. And he's like he's doing it. He just wants to do it. And so that's what happened. That's the long version of that story. But then from there, the short version from there is I did all the phone calls and learned about Edinburgh, and everyone on my team was like, I'm in. This is everyone understands how special this is. Everyone gets it. And I was able to get all these amazing people because I'm a huge Taskmaster fan. I know Alex Horn. So Alex Horn was able to help me get some great people, and he's amazing. And so I have all these Taskmaster people. I have an SNL UK person. I've got Tim Burgess of the Charlatans. Somehow I got his info. We FaceTimed. He couldn't be nicer. He's also a music hero. He's also excited to come up for the day and do it. It really turned into a absolutely once in, it, I mean I don't I say once in a lifetime because but I don't want to say that anymore because I think I have
These
some
things keep
really
happening.
beautiful
Yeah.
things that are going to continue to happen in my life. Um, because the show's so much about love, and it's, I interview a celebrity about a love story and we turn it into a musical. I probably should have said that a long time ago. And it's called Making Love with David Magidoff. But that's what's happening. And so yeah, we're doing 15 shows in 17 days in Edinburgh Fringe, and the wife, the mother-in-law, the kid, we're all going. I've got a
Oh,
5-person team and my band, and it's gonna be a wild ride. Ruben K, who I know performs in Australia a lot,
yep.
they'll be there as well as a guest. It's a really,
I saw the
it's getting,
list.
it's a hell
It's
of a list.
crazy. The people that you are getting is crazy.
Are you a Taskmaster person?
No, but I'm a comedian person, so I know
Yeah,
everyone on your list.
it's
Yeah,
pretty
isn't it?
crazy.
So
Yeah,
how does that feel? Like, this is also, the show's developed as well in terms of, I know every show's unique, but you've been doing this for a few years now. So
yeah,
the confidence is there, the play and fun's there. There's still familiarity without it being like, what's the word? Where you know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen. So there's still the excitement. Just hearing that story is crazy. And there's obviously like more to it and how it happened and all the phone calls you had to make. Isn't that crazy that you can do, it's hugely successful in America, but you can do this in, across halfway across the world.
yeah. A lot of magical things have happened. I called Fran. I tell him he's Mary Poppins. I don't know how long he's gonna last in my life, but while he's here, I really appreciate him. And he also flew in on an umbrella and wears a scarf in a beautiful way too. But
Let's say that.
but yeah, it's really I'm just taking every moment. Like my last show I did a couple of weeks ago. I walk out of the theater and there's Amy Mann, and I'm like, oh, because I asked her to. I threw my booker. She was going to do my show, and then she canceled because she found out she had a film premiere to go to, and she apologized. Can't wait to do it again. And then she was just at the show, and I don't know her from nothing. This is Amy Mann, and we watched Magnolia finally last night for the first time. What a great movie! I really should have watched that a long time ago. Magnolia. So she she was outside the theater, and I just went up to her. I never saw her in my life, but I was like, Amy, I thought you could. I thought you couldn't do the show. I was like, oh my gosh, Amy, man. Again, I was like, yeah, I'm like, I know that you could have done the show. So why are you here? She just came to the show, and she was just like, I could, but then I couldn't, but then now I could again. And I told your booker, and then he said you already got somebody, and I got Wendy McClendon Covey from Bridesmaids and St. Dennis
Ah,
Medical.
we had I love her.
Oh, just yeah, she's talk about a real human being who's just so wonderful and giving and kind and funny. And she's like, "Yeah, you got someone already." And then she came to watch with a friend. So I was like, I told my booker, I'm like, next time let me know when Amy Mann can come back cuz I'll find a way to have her on. Don't worry. But yeah, I'm really enamored by Vanessa Williams. Supposedly is going to do a show later with me in the
Oh, I
year.
had a brother, Chris.
Oh,
Lovely guy.
fun. Can
Yeah.
you hear my cat? Hopefully not.
No, I can't.
Okay, good.
That is amazing.
Great.
And before we wrap up, I'll put it in the episode notes so people can check it out. But what are the dates? And do you still get nervous for something like this?
Yeah. The dates are August 7th to August 23rd, or as you write them down in the UK, which I have been learning to do, 7th of August to the 23rd of August.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Oh, for you, all of you people.
Yeah.
And
Just
your
an
wonderful
American
way
thing.
of writing things down. No, you started it. We came after you, right? So it's our dumb American way of doing things. But it's August 7th to August 23rd at Assembly Festival, and it's It's got a 200-seat theater, plenty of room for everybody. Tickets are going, though. I'm not going to lie. They actually are going. It's pretty exciting.
Nice.
And yeah, it's going to be magical. It's going to be a magical time.
Amazing. That's all in the episode notes so people can check it out. Amazing. Before we go, I want to ask one question about success and failure. What is the biggest professional risk you've taken that almost nobody knows about?
Well, here's what pops in my head. I don't know if it's the biggest, but this is what pops in my head. I do a mailing list for my show, and I had a friend who was like, "You should put everybody on your mailing list." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What? How many people do you have in your mailing list?" I'm like, 300. He's like, "How many Google contacts do you have?" He's like, 5,000. I was like, he's like, "Do that. Put everybody on your mailing list." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Trust me, like the show you have is a really beautiful thing, and this is a gift. And people get terrible emails all the time. So at least your email is nice and they can unsubscribe." And I'm like, "But there could be ex-girlfriends. There could be weird people on there. Like, I don't want people seeing this." He's like, "Just do it." And I did it. It was one of the best things I could have ever done because I got a lot of, "Oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you in a while." No weird stuff. And I got one time I got a weird thing where a dude wrote me and was like, "What is this?" A kind of guy who was running a show. And
Jealousy?
no, he's like, "Is this a showcase? How did I get on this?" "Well, if I ever literally, like, if I ever thought about hiring you, I certainly won't now." Like that kind of language. And I went,
Whoa.
but I still said with my arms to my side, "You know what? This person's crazy. This is a fucking crazy response to getting an email like this." I think he was drinking. And no joke, my next TV gig was his show.
Oh, that's so good. Have you brought that up?
He wasn't there during the week I was shooting. I don't even know if he remembered when he, because things get taped these days and casting off tape.
Yeah.
But he saw me and I don't know if he knew that was the email or the name, but we met in person once. It was just weird. But I did the show, and it's a great reminder for me for all time to always tell myself, just keep doing the thing. Don't let some one person, even when one person says the exact thing that you're afraid to see, which is, "Well, now that I got this, I'm certainly never hiring you again." It was literally like verbatim, like the actor's nightmare. And then that was the next gig. That's when I go, it's all silly. Just keep going. Enjoy yourself. Let the dumb people be dumb. You keep doing the good around you, and it's all going to just be fine. Like, that's how I live my life.
That is brilliant. That's a great way to wrap up the podcast. Before we go, how can people follow you on all the socials as well?
Just my name, at David Magidoff. No underscore. Smash them together. At David Magidoff. That is me. DavidMagidoff. Or as I say to people when they call me, and I need to give them my name real quick, or I'm at the doctor's office. MAG like magazine, ID like a photo ID, OFF like you're turning off a light.
Very cool. That's all in the episode notes below. Thank you. Very inspiring. Got a very empowering story. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
I love how David reminds us that some of the biggest opportunities in life are hiding behind the things we're most afraid to do. For him, it was sending an email to his mailing list. It sounds simple, but it meant putting himself out there in front of people he knew, risking rejection, awkwardness, and judgment. So many of us avoid taking that step because we imagine the worst case scenario. We let the fear of what one person might think stop us discovering what hundreds of others might feel. But David sent it anyway. That one decision ended up being one of the best things he ever did. The email reached people who came to his shows, supported him, and became part of his journey. It created opportunities that simply wouldn't have existed if he let fear make the decision for him. What I also love is David's perspective on the one negative response he received. His attitude was so refreshing. If you let one person's negativity outweigh all the good that came from taking a chance, you're giving that voice far more power than it deserves. The reality is, no matter what you create, someone won't like it. Some people will misunderstand you, criticize you, or even try to pull you back. There'll always be people who criticize, doubt, or project their fears onto others. And as David says, just keep going, keep pursuing what lights you up and brings you joy. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Albert Hubbard. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy and life.